Hey YouTube, I saw Bill Anderson on Facebook wrote a comment about a comparison between the ESV Heirloom wide margin and the CSB large print ultra thin. And I had a few minutes in between doing some projects that I was in the middle of doing. I was like, man, you know what? I love these two editions. I'll make a quick video doing a comparison between the two. First off, this edition here, there's the CSB large print ultra thin. Now this edition that I bought was a it wasn't a true tone. They call it something else. Holman calls it something else, but it was the fake leather cover. It was the British tan, and I sent this off to Abba to have this rebound. And I really love this cowhide. It's a distressed cowhide leather interior and exterior. It has some stitching around here, and I asked for hubs and a couple of thick ribbons, even though I do not use ribbons. That's just for the looks. But what about the comparison between these two? If you're looking at an ESV wide margin versus the CSB output, the dimensions are really, really similar. I mean, they're almost identical. I just kind of measured quickly the covers on the outside. Now this is rebound, so the dimensions may be a little bit different than the one that you have if you have one. But this is, what was it? It's 9 3/4. Both are 9 3/4 tall, about 6 3/4 wide, and they're both about 1 1/4 inches thick. So let's get into it. The Heirloom wide margin has raised hubs, has ESV plastered all over the side of it. Comes with 4 really thin ribbons. I think they look good. I don't use the ribbons, so them being thin is not a concern of mine. You have leather lining on the inside, art gilt on the outside perimeter. And when I purchased this, the hinge was it had a stiff hinge. I worked with this thing for about a week. I rolled the leather a lot. I got the leather, and I would kind of roll it back and forth, the cover, and then I would just open up these Bible pages and kind of run my finger down the gutter, and it opened that up to where I can use it in Genesis. So Genesis 1, it lays flat. What's unique about the wide margin is obviously the margin itself. And that's why I got this edition. You're looking at a 1/2 inch on the outside and about 1 1/4 inches on the inside, and you have about a 1/2 inch or so at the bottom and top. About 1/2 inch on the bottom and top. This has art gilting. The goatskin edition has the art gilting, which for me in Bibles, that's a big thing. I love the art gilting. That's probably one of my favorite things in premium edition is the art gilting. It has a 9-point font. What's different between this ESV wide margin by Crossway and the Cambridge wide margin is the font size. This is a 9, and I forget what the Cambridge is. It's around an 8. So the font's smaller on a Cambridge, and the spacing, you have wider spacing between lines in this Crossway edition. And I like that because for me it's easier when I'm standing in front of people preaching, teaching. When I look back down at the page, it's easier for me to find my spot. It's just easier for me to read it that way. This is a reference edition, so you have nice references at the bottom right-hand corner of every page for the references, and you have footnotes at the bottom. And then, of course, okay, let's do this. It has thin paper, 28 GSM paper, I believe, is what I've seen other people say that this has. And there's ghosting. So if I can get a good shot here, there's ghosting right there. So you can kind of see the back side of the page. I mean, there's ghosting in there. Always looks worse on camera. The ghosting does not bother me at all. Every Bible that I've owned and I've written in, they always ghost. But it doesn't bleed through. The ink doesn't bleed through. I use Pigma Micron 005, red and blue, and they work great. Highlighting here. See, I mean, it's not bad. You can't even really see the show through of the highlighter. So I write in this one. I don't write extensive notes in this. Normally what I do is I write the title of the sermon. I have all my sermons. When I write sermons, I save them to Google OneDrive. So I have all of them cataloged there. And if I'm going through this passage of scripture, I'll look at, well, that's the title of this sermon, and I'll go to Google OneDrive on my phone, tablet, computer, pull it up, and then I'll have all the extensive notes of the sermon there. So that's kind of how I use this. I'm not buying a Bible to just completely use it as a journal. I have journals that I use for journaling. But you do have some show through. It is not bad. It's like anything else. You get used to it, and I absolutely love it. I love this because it is a thinner Bible. The paper makes the Bible thinner. It's more portable. So there's that. You have a concordance in the back. I have no idea how many pages, but it's quite a few. Glossy maps. And a lot of people hate glossy map paper. I don't use the map, so I don't care. And then it has a few cardstock. I added these. I told myself, it's like, man, I need all this lined paper in the back, and I'm going to need it. I've not used the first one yet, but I have it in case I have a thought I need to put in there, I guess. And that's what I use to mark my places. I don't use the ribbons. That's the Heirloom edition. Love it. That's my everyday preaching Bible. I use it and read out of it all the time. But I do really love the CSB translation, and I use this Bible. Also, I used to preach from this quite a bit. Again, this cover is different. You have raised hubs on this one, and this was rebound, so it's going to look a little bit different. But this one, I forget what the font is, size on this one. It's a little bit larger, and I'll put the text up together so you can see in a minute. But the font's a little bit larger here. You have the references in the center column and footnotes at the bottom. See if I can find some some writing. Excuse me. Okay. So here's some places that I've written in the Bible. I wrote here, and then boom. Let's look at the back side. It doesn't ghost as bad as the Heirloom. The paper seems to be a little bit thicker. Notice here, there's a highlighted verse. And then you can see the show through a little bit in the back. To the naked eye, I can't see this at all in the lighting in my house, but on the camera I can see it. But I can't see it when I'm looking just with my naked eye there at it. And it has, half an inch of margin space around here, so I just kind of write some in there. And it did just fine, excuse me, when I wrote in it. Just a little bit of margin space there to jot down some reminders to jog your memory. And this one has also a concordance in the back. And it has some maps somewhere. On cardstock paper, it's non-glossy. I guess these look a little prettier than the other one. And a few blank pages to write in, which I thought was cool. There it is. Roughly the same size. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, if CSB had a wide margin like this one, I don't know. I really like leather. I really like goat skin on my Bibles. I like goat skin. If CSB had an offering like this, I may use it to preach out of. I may in the future use CSB to preach out of, but right now I've been in ESV. I like ESV quite a bit, so I love this one. I don't foresee myself moving from this one anytime soon. I'll probably use it a couple of years until I completely fill it up, and then I'll reevaluate if I'm going to stick with ESV or if I'll switch to CSB. Hope this helps. Have a good day. God bless.